Hi there Aries, thank you for joining me for your year 2014 forecast. I'm going to give you the overall structure of your year. The detail will come from your weekly and monthly forecasts with me, but this will give you an idea of the strategic influences at play. And they focus, as ever, on the outer planets, the higher octave planets, principally of Saturn, Uranus and Pluto. Now as we begin this year, funnily enough, Uranus and Pluto feature almost straight away, which kind of reflects where I'm coming from, because there's a very, very important T-square formed on the first day of January 2014, which sees Mars, your ruler, the planet of ourselves, of I, of ego, in your sector of relating. Now that's not an easy position for Mars to be in some ways, but it's a brilliant opportunity in others, because Mars is not so much about cooperation, it's about getting things done, it's about initiation. It's very much to do with the basic vibe of your sign. And in your opposite sign, it asks you right through till the end of July to work hard at cooperation. And cooperation is not always easy if you're someone who likes to do things for yourself, take the initiative. And so this is asking you to fit in with others or be ultra competitive with other people. But it's in opposition with Uranus in your sign on the first day of this year, and they both square up to the Sun and Pluto, which are at the top of your horoscope in Capricorn. So what does this all mean? It means, I feel, that as you set your New Year's resolutions, I do feel that you're going to be quite goal orientated, but your goals are not necessarily going to be the goals of anyone else, because within these goals I feel that there's going to be an inherent need all through this year to come out of yourself and demonstrate your unique individuality. But there's the rub, because with the Sun and Pluto combined at the top of your horoscope, this is very much about conventionality. It's about fitting in. It's about confirmation, conforming to what society, our friends, our peer group, our family, our parents, or even a boss wants. So ambitions are going to be high, and if you really want to climb to the summit of success this year, I think that's a fantastic opportunity to do it. But you may have to compromise, and some of that compromise may be on your personal freedom, and it may mean working harder at cooperating with other people. Now, before January is even out, we see another influence forming, another T-square involving Pluto. This one still involves Uranus, and unfortunately that square between these two planets, which is a tough one, is going to be going on for all but 3 months of this year. We're going to have a little bit of a pause in months 6 through till 9, and then it kicks back in again from 10 to 12 in terms of the square. And I do feel that Uranus square Pluto has a lot to do with the geopolitical upheavals that we're getting in the world, because Uranus in Aries is a very random influence, but it can be reckless, and it can see people do things even if it puts their own safety at risk in order to fulfill some kind of ambition. And that's why we've had these amazing uprisings and rebellions. But of course they do cause a lot of unsettled conditions and a lot of death and downside too. In your particular situation, the other planet that comes into the T-square and takes you through to May is going to be Jupiter, the planet of fortune. Now that's kind of in a nice angle with Uranus in a way. This can bring about quite a lot of good luck, but also it can kid us into thinking that we will always be lucky if we take a risk, when in actual fact it would be better to be a little bit more cautious. So if you do get the need to be bolder and more positive and proactive in your approach, that's absolutely wonderful. But just be conscious that Jupiter opposite Pluto can see people move outside their ethical stance or encounter people who will use their power to dominate us. And so in any kind of politics that you might encounter this year, which very often does happen for most of us at work, but sometimes it can be within the family, you need to be aware that at times you'll need to have your say come what may, which is very strong with Uranus in your sign, needs to be tempered by how that is going to be received and the impact it will have on your situation and your prospects as the year goes on. Now, we are going to have in April a fantastic set of eclipses, a pair of eclipses. On the 15th, there is a lunar eclipse. This lunar eclipse actually occurs in your opposite sign of Libra, and it suggests, again, that relationships can be an important thing for you over the next 6 months. But because this one is working on your 7th and 8th house axes, because the eclipse that occurs at the end of April, the solar eclipse, which gives you a backdrop of energy for the next 6 months, well, this one is really asking you to not give up on the things that give you a sense of permanence in your life. So even if a relationship isn't exactly as you want, maybe you have to accept that that's the way relationships can be at times. They're not always perfect. But what can help you hugely as far as your love life is concerned is that in July, Jupiter moves into just about the most brilliant part of your horoscope, and it's going to be with you for 12 months, but obviously for the last half of this year. And this can give you a lot of confidence, and that confidence can come back to you marvellously well. You could also see something tremendous happening in your love life, or around if you're looking to have children, it can be good for you there too. If you're someone who's very artistic, or if you have flair, expect to become these talents to come to the floor in the second half of the year. Just a word of caution, however, in the last 2 weeks of August, Mars, your ruler, now in Scorpio, does go alongside Saturn, and that could cause tremendous frustrations about your financial situation. And you may find yourself really brimming with ire about something that's not quite going to plan. Try to keep your cool. Ironically, although Mars is going to be with you in your sector of relating pretty well through to the end of month 7, this is a very unusual extended transit. From then, it actually goes back to its 6 weekly progressions through each of the zodiac signs. But that one through Scorpio is a bit tough. And then we come through to October, and that square between Pluto and Uranus begins again in earnest. And it's all about that need to succeed, have status, get the property we want to live in, the money we want to have, but at the same time you need to handle your desire to be totally authentic. And that doesn't always fit in with the wider politics that we get in corporate world. Not all of us are corporate creatures. And if you're someone who's not, this year could be more of a struggle for you. But it can also be more of an opportunity to break away from that and do your own thing. But if you are wanting to fit into something, there will be downsides. There will be compromises to strike. However, there are another 2 tremendous eclipses that occur for you. This time on the 8th and then the 29th of October, and they work in reflection this time. The lunar eclipse is in your sign, so your first house, and the solar eclipse is actually in your 7th house. So we've got a 1/8 is going to be occurring in Scorpio. And what this is saying to you is, don't give up about being an individual. Stay strong, but also be canny when it comes to business and looking after your resources. And that can take you to the end of the year. But with the creativity and the good fortune that Jupiter can bring you, something special could yet be in the mix. It's been a real pleasure being with you. Thank you for joining me. Have a great 2014, and goodbye for now.